again to Conscripted. Call this episode Nice. We don't rejoin the party anywhere, though, this time. In fact, the only two remaining members of the party are completely separated from each other and locked away by powerful, powerful magical barriers. So it'll be some time before we see the two of them again. If they can even find each other. If they can even find a way out. So what we're going to do tonight instead is kind of offer a bit of a farewell and wrap up. I want to congratulate everybody who played, even the players that are not here yet or may not want to attend. Everybody did a great job. I really enjoyed the course of this game. I thought it was a really fun ride. It had some stressful moments for me. It had some stressful moments for you guys. It was a lot of like work and effort and time from everybody. But I think you guys made a really, really enjoyable story. And I think that each of you like deserves to give yourselves kind of a pat on the back. Because I mean, this game isn't really about me. The game is about you guys. I don't do this without players. It's almost impossible to it is actually impossible to do this. I would just be writing, and I suck at writing. So none of this works without any of you guys playing the game. I don't have a clip show or anything because I don't do that because this isn't a TV show, and I don't think that's a good way to go out anyway.
Should have put together a clip of everyone's deaths.
I was gonna, well, it doesn't need to be a clip, but I was gonna say that would be a nice way to start as a summary of where every character ended up, whether dismay or split, just to like get the full summary. Because I actually never got through all of the previous stuff before I joined.
Okay.
But I'd be curious to hear it all. So
yeah, we can go through that. Let me play some of our nice relaxing music here. So yeah, when the campaign first began, it started off with, I believe it was 5 characters at the time. We had Jack, the bowman, Krux. We had Arius, the sorcerer that really wanted claws to be a thing. We had Shaxara, Shaxaga, a Magus Golem Fist, just trying to figure out her place in the world. We had, God, I almost don't remember everybody that was in the start. I don't remember what Ryan's character's name was because he did. That's right, Ozzy. Yeah, Ozymandias. The war priest, the unarmed war priest. I think that was everybody. Started. So we started off as 4. That's right, because Dan, you didn't show up till quite some time after we lost Jack. But we had 3 other
on that session.
On that session.
That was his first session.
Jack probably blames Mal's arrival for that untimely death.
Yep.
So
no, I think he blamed Spinksara the most for betraying him.
Refusing to heal you when you need it the most.
Yeah.
So Shax, I believe we lost Ozzy in like session 2. Ozzy was killed by, I don't even remember what it was. Like
lions, probably.
Yeah. Sure Ozzy's death was so unmemorable when it happened. It was just
highest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was when when the lions were too quick for us, but the 2 of us managed to escape, and the other 2 were...
No, that was later. That happened when that was how you lost that's how you lost Shax, and how you lost because I know 2 people were lost there. Maybe he did fall in that fight.
Yeah, I think that was lions.
Because it was you and Arius that managed to escape. So yeah, it would have been the 2 of them dying when the the Crenshars attacked the camp in the night, and ate the other two, and you two managed to escape, make your way to Kamoa, a little village just outside of where Kamoa would have been. Then they took you to Kazarum, and then from Kazarum you were brought back to the camp. And then a few more travels would happen. You guys bouncing around, doing some stuff. I'm not good at recaps. I didn't think I was going to be doing a recap, but somebody gave me a really good idea that would have been nice to have been suggested, I don't know, a week ago. I probably should have thought of these things myself, though.
I guess like I guess what Dan was getting at, or at least what I was thinking of, is like, where are the characters now? So
I'm telling you where many of them are. They're 6 feet under. Well, they're not even 6 feet under.
Well, I mean, like, for example, like Arius. Like, are we allowed to know, like, exactly, is he in a blade still, or what happened?
Arius is most certainly in a blade. He is waiting on the inside of Blacksmith Inc. For the right person to come along, or at least, I guess I shouldn't say he's in a blade. They haven't 100% decided what Arius is best put into, but they are definitely thinking about, like, we have this thing, it deserves to be punished. What do we do with it?
Jesus.
I had finish the recap. I had an insight on that I just wanted to offer up. But
So we know that as far as Shax, we actually found the Golem Fist arm of Shax later on. When one of the party members was there, when you guys ran into the guy with the traveling merchant. The traveling merchant had the Golem Fist from Shax, as well as was selling the journal, which Spinks actually picked up. Spinks, the entire campaign, was carrying around a journal of herself. So when we lost Jack, Jack was trapped in that coin for some time, but is now enjoying his rest in the afterlife, as Jack deserves to enjoy. From there, I don't think we had lost anybody after that. You guys got to a point where death really didn't happen until Arius, and Arius made that deal and didn't want to keep living because he felt the exchange was too much.
And as a summary of what happened with that, Arius had offered himself up
as a test
stop
subject
from killing them.
Yeah.
Well, before even that. And then he died, and this was while a lot of us were already unconscious. We just woke up, and Arius's corpse was gone, if I recall correctly.
No, for Arius, so I think you had gone down. You had gone unconscious.
Yeah. I remember. I remember Malden.
Yeah, I think two people went down, and I think Arius said, "Okay, that's enough. Like, I will fight you one-on-one right here." And then Aravos got defeated, and then got ripped in half. Arius, and got ripped in half. And then when you came to, like, Arius's body was basically gone.
Yep. Okay. And our impression was that he was teleported somewhere, and we seemed to get some indication he was with Blacksmithing.
Yeah, well, later on, somebody, if I remember right, goes in and asks about Arius. I think Maldronicus does. And they say, like, oh, we're dealing with him. We're going to figure out what we're going to do with him.
Yep.
Well, they had, like, given me the option to, like, pick up an item with him in it, I think. Like, my character.
I don't think it was with him in it. It was a prototype they were building.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'd have to go back and double check, because I know I was on the fence about a couple of things at that time, as to what I might do. But I don't know. I don't think it was going to end up being him at the end of the day.
Okay, yeah, they had said something like that I could bring him back in some way.
That was a different thing.
About resurrection.
No, that was but that also wasn't in an item. That was a different thing.
Oh, okay.
There was a very different thing that could have happened from that. I remember what you're talking about now.
Because I thought they had said something that it would, like, protect me from mind affecting things. So I guess I assumed it was an item.
Yeah, they had a much different plan in that circumstance, and it would have been interesting, and it also would have really. So part of the plan was to basically make a fake you inside of you that anything that tried to control your mind would end up interfering with, and that fake you was going to be essentially another personality. So you would have two minds, and the debate that I was having was it going to be Aravos that was like your tortured personality, that every time something tries to take over your mind, they instead get Arius communicating with them, like they're in Arius's head instead of in your head. But I really hadn't decided exactly how that was going to play out, and so it worked out well that you didn't take it. That was an idea that I don't think was one of my better ideas.
Are we allowed to know?
Sounds super interesting, but
are we allowed to know what happens to, or I guess maybe it's undecided what happens to Cassius and the bodies in the mansion still?
So, there is stuff that will eventually will come to figure out what's happening with it. At this point, Ra has access to enough diamonds that, in theory, she could have them have at least Cassius resurrected in Akunsant, using true resurrection. If she can find somebody to do it, if she could go out, find somebody, she can have Cassius resurrected. Spinks can
still have his gun too. I've been carrying it around.
Spinks, however, cannot be resurrected. Spinks has become kind of one with the Spirit Mother and works is kind of the voice of the Spirit Mother now. And her power has only furthered moving the Spirit Mother towards being a god that may actually officially join the Pantheon. But in the meantime, it continues to remain kind of this in this in-between state of being a god and being just an omnipresent spirit.
What the fuck was up with Pierre? Who is he?
Okay, so Pierre led a long criminal life working in Chrysaisen, first of all, moving people from place to place. So he was actually very proficient with getting a cart from one place to another without worrying about other things. Some of the encounters that you guys were able to skip was actually because of Pierre's skill at evading encounters while driving. So Pierre actually had some really good overall stats. Pierre also, let me bring up Pierre's character sheet. I don't really want to share it, but I'll give you some of the details on it.
Other question once you know that, were any of the other drivers who could have selected a trap?
Oh yeah, because then we interviewed. I forgot about that.
Yes, actually, one of them was horrible, and you guys very clearly skipped on that one. I remember when I rolled them, I made competency rolls for what they were going to be, and one of them was a competency of 13 out of 100. And so that person was going to be able to drive a cart.
So they were just bad at their job, but they weren't a terrible person.
No, right? there was nobody that was in there that was specifically going to fuck you guys over.
Okay.
But I mean, picking a bad carriage driver is basically the same thing as getting screwed over.
Yeah.
So Pierre had a handful of ranks in knowledge nobility, a handful of ranks.
What was the competency that he had rolled?
Pierre was at 73% competency.
Okay.
So Pierre has a I'll do these before he got the levels that you guys helped him get. But he had a 19 to his handle animal, a 13 to his profession driver, and a 9 to ride just in case it ever came up. So he was pretty adept, and he by himself had a 9 perception. So he wasn't not able to see things. He was actually doing a pretty good job for himself. But yeah, he had once upon a time, Pierre had a family. He had a wife and kids, and Pierre thought he did that thing that people that get themselves caught up in the in criminal activities seem to think oh, I'm just gonna I'm done. I've made enough money. I'm happy with my life now. I'm just gonna take a step back and I'm gonna retire. And they kept saying you can't retire. Like, you got to do these jobs. And so he said, fuck it. I'm not going to do this. Like, I'm done. I'm out of the game. I don't need it. I'm good. And so, like, at some point in the night, they basically kidnapped his wife, kidnapped his kids, told him he had to do this job. He went, did the job, and when he came back, his wife and kids were dead. So he stole a carriage, and he fled to live in Lukil. And that's when you guys, like, it's been several years since all of that happened. And he's been trying to kind of deal with and recover from that life. So when you guys go back to Krzyzin, that's why he's like, you know, he's all of a sudden like, I've got to do what they say. Like, I'm going to follow every direction. I'm not going to like question it with these people. Because I mean, it's basically, you know, now his own personal life on the line, and potentially now he knows that like this is indirectly dragged also in some of Cassius's stuff. Because Cassius also had issues where Cassius killed his father in Krzyzin. So they both got mixed up in the same group. But Cassius's father was a member of the society over there, as opposed to Pierre, who had direct involvement.
Did the Salamanders actually honor their agreement with me to purge Cassius's and Pierre's debt?
Yes, the Salamanders do what they can to put an end to it. It's a little hard working with them to get that kind of thing expunged, but for the most part, that is why, like, when you go over to Catheros, there isn't an issue, even though the same group is there. Well, we actually forgot. There's somebody we didn't mention where they ended up. Zeke. Wouldn't you all like to know where Zeke is?
All right, yeah.
Yeah. Zeke is working as a personal assistant in Krzyzin to the new Grand Inquisitor.
Oh.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
He's totally new. Totally a new person. Totally different.
Is that sarcasm? It's like, did the old Inquisitor resurrect himself somehow or something?
I mean, he didn't resurrect himself. I mean, he's definitely not alive. He's totally dead. Totally dead. No, so he had a deal with the Salamanders, and eventually, like, once everything.
But didn't our trial like expose he was like?
That's why I said the new Grand Inquisitor. He's not the same person. He's not in the same body.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Interesting.
Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Literally and figuratively.
Do I even want to ask what happened to my friend then? Did he testify they murdered him?
Oh, yeah, unfortunately, he is dead. His wife did what she could to save him, but in the end, she could not get him away in time.
New resist goal. We need to break out of this city, go back to this city, and I want to see this new room he's built for improvements against the next party that fights him. And we take him down again.
It may happen in the future. But with the new tenants that have been put into place, it's very likely that Krzyzin will actually become two separate countries. There is one storyline event that does have to happen, and I want to have it happen on a sort of timed instance, because there's certain things in certain other games that have to happen to see what happens with the next event. But it will determine the current state of RA4 and whether or not it becomes RA4 North and RA4 South. And that is directly because of the delivery of the message. And then believing that this actually can work. That there are people within the military that are willing to compromise, and not just people that are stubborn and want to force their hands. But there are some things that can change that. Let's change up the music here. Let's move to a different venue.
Yes, why not RA4 and RA5?
So, What? I don't know what you mean by why not RA4. Oh, okay.
It's just a joke.
No, not RA5.
I like how the orc couple are the last two characters alive.
Yep.
Can you stop
The
with
couple
that?
that has been
Look, they look so
repeatedly
cute.
shipped.
Look, they're like on each side with different weapons on each side. It's gonna be canon that they have to repopulate the orc population.
Nope.
Start a new Crimson Council.
Nope. Big nope.
The Crimson Council's doing just fine. They don't need any restarting. It is funny though that what is left is the members of the Crimson Council, the two people that are like as close to not actually being conscripted as possible.
Oh, on a serious note, does the Crimson Council like care that they probably haven't heard from Mal or Ra? And eventually, they won't like hear from them at all.
So they've been the way this has kind of worked is as far as Mal is basically conscripted for all intents and purposes.
Okay, so they don't really... Okay.
They're not as worried about hearing from Mal. They are worried about the fact that they haven't heard from Ra in some time. And there are events that are likely to start happening, dependent upon some stuff that happens over the next few months of session time.
Oh, I'm curious when Tonelli like tries to contact us and what happens. Or I don't know if you can tell us that.
So actually, Tonelli has... There is a point where he tries to contact you while you guys are in the castle. And he cannot contact you while you're in the castle. Inside of the castle, messages from the outside have to be picked up by the chair, and then the chair receives the message and then moves the message to whomever is getting the message. It works kind of like a mental switchboard. And so he just assumed you were somewhere where blocking had happened.
Reach you.
Yeah. And then in between that time, there was not a whole lot of time. You guys go back to Nul Buzir. And in Nul Buzir, he's not looking to reach the two of you. His responsibility is to reach Maldronicus. And so he keeps trying Maldronicus,
and
who is
like the same kind of block.
Yes, who's washed up on Dragon's Cove.
So he's just like, oh, what are they just doing? They keep getting blocked.
Yes. And he wouldn't trust reaching out to Aravos. And since technically Ra is not part of the military, he can't call Ra. So his only other options are the guy who would freak out if you talk to him his head, the guy who would think it was some god trying to trick him if you talk to him his head, or some other thing trying to trick him if you talk to him his head. And throughout the whole campaign, I was trying to do this extra thing, but it never really got to come up. Tonelli was terrified of Sphinx. If Tonelli and Sphinx were ever together in a room, Tonelli would have started talking about how unclean she is, how whatever she's wandering around with is dangerous. It's a huge problem and she needs to do something about it. But I never got to have that interaction just between the two of them. But yeah, he was utterly terrified of her, so he would not have tried to reach out to her. And if she would have ever reached out to him directly, it would have freaked him way the fuck out.
Fuck him. Should have been more afraid of me.
He was afraid of you, and properly afraid of you, I might add.
All right, so I think what we really all want to know is that if we had paid that infinite amounts of money to the thieves to steal that book from the the Blue Magic owner, would we have actually gotten anything valuable from that?
So, you would have gotten the book. You absolutely would have gotten the book for that money, but you would have lost something in doing it. Because that what you're also doing is buying into the event, right? So you get this valuable thing, and they're going to end up taking something else from you eventually. So either you need to leave Cominster pretty fucking quickly, so you're not the next target forever. Because you basically get added to a list, right? So anyone who has stolen something gets added to a list and is now playing the game. And so you, so long as you're in the town, are subject to the same rules that everybody else is playing by. And what they might steal will depend on what somebody is willing to try to acquire. And the game can be anywhere from small items that are mostly meaningless to entire people. And so it could have been pretty interesting to see where that goes, but I think with the book in hand, if you guys would have come back later and done that, you probably could have taken him out. At the time that you guys would have gone in there, the room actually has a number of various traps and other like magical trigger spells that are going to happen if certain things happen. So it's unlikely the party would have survived. That would have probably been an auto TPK. So I'm glad you did not choose that option.
I guess I'm just gonna ask things, and then you can just say yes or no. Do we ever, or is there ever any conclusion to like the shifters and what they did ended up and the that elf with the replanting of the trees?
Yeah, you guys have actually very significantly improved the territory of the shifters. In fact, the map the next time that because I need to do a redo anyway. This map is not at the resolution that it's supposed to be, and it's not formatted properly. But you will actually see there is a large portion of forest that has started to fill this. That's not polygon. That's not shapes. There's a large amount of forest that has basically started filling. I guess not quite that far. More like this, and will likely continue to grow until there is some sort of either pushback or they reach sort of a resource cap. Because they are, part of what they have to do is, druids are sort of replanting this, and this is desert, this is like plains and adjacent to desert for a reason. It's probably a little too warm to be trying to grow a forest here, but if you push enough druidic magic into something, you can make it happen. So they're kind of going to reach that point where like this is the limit to what you can do with forced terraforming. But yeah, they have grown pretty substantially in power and are almost a force of their own. The current debate between them is whether or not they start trying to bring in other cities to their cause and see if they can actually pull them away from the military influence.
I'm just gonna keep firing unless anyone else has
Go for it.
Would I have died if I went back to try and steal more mithril? Not would it have been guaranteed death, or could I have?
No, I mean, it's basically just populated by a lot of giants. So if you would have teleported back in, you probably could have nabbed like quite a bit of mithril and gotten out. It would depend on how quickly you moved in and out. But I think it's very, very feasible that you could have gotten more mithril out of that. And potentially more sapphires.
Good to know, good to know.
Instead, what you've done is you've created a pretty good trade route for the shifters now because they control that area.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did they ever ever? I guess they probably wouldn't have noticed that missing bit of it, or did they notice?
No, that wasn't really noticed. The assumption that they could have is, well, technically yes, they notice it. Do they know where it's missing from? No, they don't know where it's missing from because lots of things were interacting with it at the time, and all of those giants were heavily mind controlled. So many of them don't even remember what's happened.
Anything, yeah. Okay.
And it's not the kind of mind control that's like, we are, you still have access to what you're thinking and seeing. It's like, we're just piloting a shell, and you'll get your brain back later.
Okay.
The way that I had imagined, and I have no idea what actually happens, but what Mal would have wanted to do is if he ever restores order in Dragon's Cove, the first thing he'd want is to reforge a blade. And I was thinking, since I had helped Blacksmith Inc. before, and they had sort of revealed that their real enemy, more so than Blacksmith Inc., I think to Mal, is actually Father Dearest. He would have offered to essentially, if they give him Arius, he will offer to take down Father Dearest for them if they give him Arius so that he can forge Arius into a new blade. And together they can basically do that.
How would Maldronicus feel if in order to do that, they required him to forge 2 items, 1 Arius and 1 an item that they have to take to... I'm sorry. So they would give you 2 items, and they would tell you what they want on the second item. what they want you to forge on the second item. And they would provide you with the spells that you need to do it. As a intel-based caster, you can you could try to do what needs to be done, but they basically want you to do it on the big forge that Tonelli locked down.
Yeah, that's what I was imagining. I was going to break down whatever they had Arius in and take him into a black blade forged on the actual God Forge.
They would have been willing to work with you because that basically gives them an in and a claim over that forge.
I'm curious, in relation to the rest of the world, how good of a blacksmith is Maldronicus? Is he like...
Maldronicus is probably the only blacksmith that exists in the world that could use that forge without dying.
Okay.
So it is a hard thing to use, and it is very, very demanding on the person trying to forge something. You need a great deal of skill in craftsmanship and in magical acumen. The dwarves can't leave Akunsan. So I guess technically, yes, but they're trapped. I mean, they're never going to leave that forge. In fact...
I was like, those dudes are like...
Oh, yeah, they're
incredible tier crafters.
Yes. But I wasn't counting them. I was thinking more like anybody not specifically in something that's already so magically infused. But I appreciate the reminder. It's actually a good reminder. There are dwarves in Akunsant that are probably better craftsmen than Maldronicus. But their lives upon lives upon lives have been to craft the most powerful magical items. And they do it toillessly, and they have very strong stipulations that require how they have to make the items. But yeah, very... I like that idea, and that is something that we will be addressing down the road.
Because I imagine also to even get off the island too, I'd probably have to either work with Blacksmith Inc. Or I guess if I become... I don't know how much time I spend on the island or how strong I become.
It's going to be about 4 months before anything breaks down and allows you in, or before you're able to like create a road where Blacksmith Inc. really feels like they can trust you to like take their channels to get out of here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Mal's impression was, while he doesn't love Blacksmith Inc., I think he's more opposed to Father Dearest, who has literally a forge making blades to dismantle the military, whereas Blacksmith Inc. is kind of just trying to... They're evil, obviously, but Mal isn't like necessarily anti-evil. He's worked with evil people, so long as they actually have some sort of respectable system. So I think Mal is okay with lawful evil. He's not okay with chaotic evil, I think, is how Mal basically plays, more than often than not. But so yeah.
Can't remember. Did Arius only tell Cassius about the Father Dearest thing? I think he did.
So
Or did I tell Mal about that?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I thought you told me something. Somehow I know that I knew about Father Dearest before. Well, okay, so I got something when I did my
your page spell.
The page
right?
spell, page epiphany or whatever.
Page bound epiphany.
That was 6 spell. Is that a Magus only? Okay.
No.
No?
It's just not commonly used. I'm like, dude, this looks fucking dope.
Yeah, that's a wicked spell.
It's probably not used because second level spells, like in a non-spell point system, like for a Magus, like every single second level spell is valuable as all fuck. So,
yep.
But I actually got to test around with a lot of cool spells in this campaign because of that flexibility. So that was actually really fun. I like really enjoyed Page Bound Epiphany. It just seemed like, even just the flavor, it just seemed awesome to me.
Yeah.
Just like seeing like just holding a book and seeing the pages like flick through and then like just reveal.
And then you comboed it with your like speed read thing, right, or something?
No,
right?
no.
Oh.
It doesn't combo like that.
It gives you a huge knowledge bonus the longer you're willing to put time into it. So it's not something you can do like in a combat and get a huge bonus. It's something that you have to do out of combat to get the bonus from it.
I thought I remember maybe you just did the speed reading thing in other times, but I thought you comboed them to like learn the stuff a bit faster.
So I had Skim when I had Cassie's book in like who was erasing Cassius's book, by the way, Steve? Was that Kandor?
So Kandor wrote the book. Well, technically, it's a spell that Kandor produced a long time ago that auto-writes the books of PCs.
But
And
who was erasing it when I started trying to read it?
so that is something that I cannot reveal yet.
Okay. But yeah, that was a different spell, John. That's called Skim. That just lets you read a book really quickly.
No, I know. I thought you comboed them though. So like you got the Page Epiphany, and then you skimmed to like learn it fast.
No, that's just how Page Epiphany or Pagebound Epiphany works. You get all the pages and you just get the information like in your mind.
Okay.
My flavor for it is it's like browsing through Google results and just processing headlines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, I don't want to keep Clarence waiting any longer. I think we got some good questions answered here. And like I said, I really enjoyed this, and I look forward to where we go.
Hold on, are you going to reveal like their memories of someone? What happens with that, or no?
What are you talking about?
Okay, never mind.
You did.
There are only 2 people at the end of this game, and Ra did everything in Akun-san all by herself to get those gems.
I kind of wonder, like, what Ra thinks when all of a sudden she's just, like, standing there in front of this girl and has no memory of...
So I'll answer that one for you really quick. So you know that you downed somebody who was, like, threatening this woman. You heard screams from upstairs. Mm-hmm. You rushed upstairs to see what was wrong. And you killed this man that was standing there in front of you. And in horror, this woman has forgotten everything she knows about everything. She has severe amnesia, which she will never recover from.
So sad I couldn't save her.
Fucker, she's an unnamed NPC and you try to kill me? Come on, motherfucker.
She is an unnamed
because,
NPC.
I mean...
Now she's an unnamed NPC.
I mean, who tried to kill who?
Yeah, exactly.
Ra was fighting an assailant, an unnamed assailant attacking an unnamed woman.
He deserved his death, whoever he was.
No, he didn't.
And with that,
he was a noble warrior.
I am going to roll us away, and in a little bit we will do the intro to Resist.
Right.
See you guys shortly.
Switching over.